Hey, profit takers, let's talk about day two trend trade. All right, so let's head on over to the charts and look at the profit takers alerts dashboard. Now, the signal for this trade, guys, is the one peak formation high or low. Specifically for this one, we are going to look at Aussie dollar. It was a one peak formation low, and we're going to look at gold for this example. Now, gold was a day two. A day three, because it was 2 days from the peak, which is technically 3 days. And then, of course, our day two example we're looking at is Aussie dollar. Okay, so we had our peak, guys, here on, get my pen. We had the peak on Tuesday. Of course, Tuesday was a big news day. Okay. So prices, for whatever the reason, reset. And you can see the update here on the dashboard. So if we were taking this trade, if we got this peak on Tuesday, we're like, okay, we're going long tomorrow. Then, typically, guys, I'm measuring the high and low. I use this tool just, to see exactly kind of where prices may get support or resistance from. So the 50% line mark was right here, and I just threw that out through the rest of the week. Okay. Now, if we notice here, sometimes there's no real need for me to try to count, three, right? I can just look here and see that we do have a high in the inside, and then I'll just go to, you can even use this line right here, which is the previous week. All right, this is a major level, obviously. All right, we can use a previous week, and then we can measure from that high to that low, and then we're able to get into the market long in this area, between 50 and 61%. Okay, so that's how I would get in on that day. All right. The other thing here, so again, markets did reset on Thursday, right? So again, this was Tuesday, Wednesday, and then Thursday. Thursday, we're coming in, and technically, if this was the new peak without the reset, then it will be day three, and we'll be looking for either a continuation or a trend trade, right? So again, we did get the trend trade, right? Prices reset, right? So in here, guys, you can see clearly, again, without having to count, we have our this area right here. Once again, from the high to the low, this is where the retracement is, where the price started, right? There's two areas depending on when you are actually trading, right? So for the earlier birds, they would have gotten in a bit earlier, and again, still at that same level. Okay. So coming into New York for Aussie dollar, I would then be looking to see, okay, is there an opportunity? So I would come right back to that area, right? And you can do one or two things. You can use this level here to get you into the market. All right, again, this 50% area here, 61% would get you in, right? But then again, at this point, we already have, here we go. All right. This is our V, our first one, right? So that's number one. Then we have our push, because we have one push here. We're in our second push two. We have our another V, and that's number two. And then that's that third push. Okay. So then we start coming into the M. So at this point, just know that there is one more push up, possibly the second, right, that you can take to finish out that cycle. All right. I hope that made sense. So remember, we have our cycle here. All right. And we can see clearly we are right here. We have where price, we have the break of structure right there inside, break in structure rather. Then we have the break of structure, and then we have our retracement, which is also a nice little parabolic trade setup. Okay, it's a parabolic trade setup. Remember, we have, I'm just going to repeat this real quick. So we have that, which, that's too light. Just do it this way. Okay, there we go. We have our first push. We have our first V. Okay, we have our second push. Okay, and then we have our second V, and then the third push. Okay, and then we have the M, and that's what we see here. Okay. One, and then two. Then we have 1, 2, and then 3 pushes, all in one day on Thursday. It's a very good trade, actually. I hope that made sense. So your targets, guys, like I was sharing with you on the other video, your target, especially if you're coming in here for New York and you're in before the market, because I think this is probably before the market. Yeah, because let's see, 1600, that is New York time. So this, about 7 o'clock is when this thing's really started to push up. 6 o'clock, perfect entry, right? 6 in the morning if you're trading this pretty early, or if you're already available for London, this is definitely a good trade to get into. Nice setup. You would take you have your targets based on when you got in, whether it was on this retracement. Your entry would be here, your first target here, and then here. And it's very close to, let's see, the open price. Okay. And this was also a previous high or day high. I don't know why. It was actually not the previous day high for this. So sorry, this is technically for Friday, but I always like to look, 3 days back to see where was the most recent high. So I can use these levels for places to take profit. And the open price is always a magnet. So that's always a good place to use. Okay. So you would have put your, either use the fibs and take your profits there. I mean, literally knowing that it's coming up to a high, right? You better get out of that trade because it's going to reverse, which it did. Okay. And then we came in for that second V for the retracement trade. Okay. Whether or not you're taking that trade, right? Most of us will probably take that short trade in New York and then call it, or we may take the reversal. It just really depends on your strategy and what you're looking for. All right. Now, let's move on over to Friday. So on Friday, as I shared with you just now, we've had the high here. Let me get my pen again. So we had one hit to the high. Okay. This didn't quite hit the high right there. We had 2 hits right here. And then the third. Right. But if you got in here anyway, just looking at Friday without looking at what happened Thursday, that's pretty darn close anyway. If you were to put if you were to draw your line that way, that's a pretty good indication right there. So 3 hits to the high. Remember, we have this higher high or the high inside. Okay. I'm going to call this the HIN, the high inside. Okay, then we're going to get our fib tool because, we are still looking to go long, right? You had an opportunity to go long and short on this particular trade. So you would measure from that high to that low, okay? And then, of course, you can see where your entry's at. You can also use the area here, right, to get you in a little bit closer. Or you can use the high that's inside of this area there. That is what I used right here. Okay. Or the daily low. It's another good area to get in. Okay, those are just a little bit helpful tips that you can use, guys. All right. So so technically, guys, this was a day 2 trend trade based on the market resetting. All right. Or you could have looked at it as also, you can count because Wednesday, it's a reset, right? Monday's 1, 2, and 3, and then this resets. You can look at it this way. However you want to look at it, that works for you. This is a Stacy Burke thing, the way he counts. I often just count based off of when I see a peak or a reset to the peak, is when I'll start my count. So for me, this is day 1 and this is day 2, right? So I'm looking for this thing to trend up, okay? So if you were to counting this as a third day, then you would look at this also as an opportunity for reversal and a trend. Okay. So you just kind of find what style resonates with you. It's literally kind of the same thing, but I like to keep mine simplified with using the actual days of the peak. So let's go take a look at gold. So gold was a 3-day, right? Like I was saying, this is day 1, this is day 2 and 3, right? Because we're 2 days from the peak, 1 and 2 from the peak, okay? And based on when you get to the chart is if this particular previous day high low is going to tick. Is it going to be showing 1 or 2? But if it's showing 1, it hasn't hit yet, and you're looking for that second push to break the previous day high. So, sometimes if that happens already and you're getting support or resistance from that level, then you can continue on with your trade, right? So for this one, for example, it's almost just like the Aussie dollar. We had this high, guys, from the previous day, which is the high that we're looking to break, right? Then you had 3 pushes up inside here, right? 1, 2, and then 3 were at the high. So this was a short trade, okay? This was a short trade that we would take. So how do we get into that short trade? Again, there was news on Friday. So with the short trade, you would go with the low up until the high, and that would get you in this trade. Let me scroll down. I was on M30. Let me get you guys to M15 at least, so you can see this a little bit clearer. And this right here is the 50% mark. You would have gotten in around here. Of course, you guys know what my green little boxes mean. And then with that, guys, you would have been able to take profits in this area where we had that low, and then another area right here. Okay, 2 great places to take profit. So once the low set in and we had that low, guys, now we're looking to take the reversal. Okay, so the reversal trade would look just like this. We would go from the high. You can use this area down here, because this is also the area that I like to mark as one of the low areas. And you can also tighten this up a little bit more and go into the inside, which is right at the open price, which is great. So from the open price to the major low down here, we get you in this trade pretty early. Okay. All right. Well, I hope you guys got some value here. That was covering, the day 2 trend trade, the 3-day trade continuation. Let me know if you have any questions. We'll see you in the next one. Ciao for now.